Okay, so one of the things we're not going to do is get into all your Emmys and your platinum records and all of that stuff. We're going to talk shop, and I think we're going to have to talk about some personal stuff. One of the things I want to get into is, before we met, how long were you stalking me? You can, and can you explain why you can't keep your hands off me? Okay, we're rolling. Hello, I'm Clint Black, and tonight I am talking in circles with Lisa Hartman Black. Hi, honey. There's a lot to cover. We both grew up in Houston. Well, you grew up. I never did. And then you went to, you knew you wanted to be a performer, and you went to a high school just for that, the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts.
Yeah, it was a great school. We had all of our academics, and then we had a major and a minor, and you could take anything in the arts. And I was taking acting, and then my minor was dancing. And it was amazing. You go 8 to 4, and it just got you ready for, the business, hopefully.
So they're doing productions, right? And so you get these roles. What kind of roles were you getting?
I actually was working with Houston Theater Center. Chris Wilson had a drama department, and I was taking classes there, so I did more productions there. But what happened was I was asked to sing with a band. They wanted a girl singer, and that I sort of...
Chick singer, we call it, but go ahead.
So I sort of changed paths. I was doing a lot of the theater, but this was very exciting to me because I was doing musical theater and I always was singing and all of that. And so one thing led to another. I was fronting this band and playing the tambourine and singing.
Lead tambourine.
Lead tambourine. And...
So this is why you were in high school?
Yeah.
So it was a garage band, but you were playing gigs?
We were playing around Houston, the Royal Coach Inn and Holiday Inns, 9 to 1 in the morning. The breaks, 40-minute set, 45-minute set. We were very disciplined. It's funny, I think back on it now, and we were really very disciplined. We took it very seriously. I had an agent, Buddy Brock, and I was in charge of all of the bookkeeping, and the checks would come in, and I would write checks to the band members, and that went on for, I don't know, I lose track of time, probably about a year.
So your major minor were dancing and acting, but when you started doing this, you liked it more?
Well, I liked it all, honestly. I just liked performing. And the singing, everything else, it didn't really take a back seat, but the singing was what I was doing. I was pursuing a singing career, and I went, this is where I feel the most comfortable, and this is what I want to do. And some of the band members were writers and, pursuing some writing as well, and we would noodle around with other things, but we were covering songs.
I thought you were older. Did this carry on in the Royal Coach Inn, Holiday Inn after high school?
I was 18, 17, 18, yeah.
It wasn't long after that,
I went to L.A., yeah. Deanie Hoffheinz, Anton came in, and...
Everybody knows her.
Yeah. Well, her family was...
They're a big name in Houston.
Yeah.
We had the Hoffheinz Pavilion where you would see a lot of the shows.
Their family was the Astrodome, Astro World, and she was writing with Andy Kim at the time, and she was pursuing a writing career as well. So she came and saw me, and next thing I know, I was on a plane to LA, and I was staying with her. She was just amazing, so lovely. And then I met Jeff Barry.
Yeah.
And Jeff had written I Honestly Love You and a whole bunch of other hits, but that was on the charts at the time for Olivia. And I couldn't believe the people that I was meeting and was about to work with. So he and Deanie and Brad Berg and some other writers, they were writing these songs and putting an album together for me. And Jeff introduced me to Don Kirshner, and he signed me to his label.
And you were then going into the studio with the greatest LA session players.
Yeah.
Was this before Holland Dozier Holland started writing songs?
Yeah, that was before all them. So Jeff, we went in, and I was working with David Foster, Lee Rettenauer, Waddy Wachtel. I just knew what I was hearing was brilliant. And I knew how lucky I was. Of course, now I look back and I go, oh my goodness, But at the time, I didn't think about it a lot. I was grateful and I was, eager to learn and work with them all.
It's like if you, had landed in the midst of Steven Spielberg and the world of movie making.
Right.
These were the greatest. If somebody's going to play on your record, L.A. or New York, you had the cream of the crop.
Yeah, I did. So we made an album, and it was Kirshner released, and then I was out doing the shows that were on the air at that time.
So you did a couple of albums with Kirshner, and then RCA?
Then RCA,
And Atlantic?
and then Atlantic,
How did you happen into one of the greatest songwriting teams of all time, Holland Dozier Holland?
Management, producers,
Just
I'm not sure exactly
write
who put it
songs for
together.
her, and they said okay.
They had, I think, seen me on something, and I know.
Would have done it.
Oh my God, they were so much fun. And we went to some studio down on Hollywood Boulevard, way, east down. And there were all these guys, and they were lovely, and they were sweet and supportive. And we cut a few tracks, and it never quite settled in. But, again, it was just it was like I was this kid in a candy shop, just learning and working with these greats.
Tabitha was before Knots Landing.
Correct.
But the timing of Tabitha, how did that fit into the albums?
It was just a job I did. I mean, I don't know. I was out there, I was making music, I was cutting an album, I got an audition, my agent called, I got an audition, you're gonna go to ABC, you're gonna meet with Fred Silverman, and it came down to me and Pam Dauber, who went on to do Mork and Mindy. I'll never forget, I was sitting in the office, and it was huge at ABC. And I got the call, and hey, is Tabitha there? It was one of those. What? And
Is Tabitha there?
Sweet. So.
And then you go in.
So it was me and Bob Urich and all of these people, and I was Elizabeth Montgomery's daughter. It was kind of the same setup, but we were in a studio.
So they forgot to ask you one important question about something, if you could do or not, that was important to the show.
Yeah, can you wiggle your nose? And I think they thought, because little Tabitha would go like that. I don't know if anybody remembers, but that's what she would do. And I went like that, and they went, okay, good.
You're in.
You're in. So do that. So we did 13 episodes, and the show did well, but, it wasn't a huge hit. And I was disappointed, but I was okay because I was going to go make another record, It was like, you're young and you're working, and I was paying the rent and grateful.
But you had some odd jobs before Knots Landing came along. You did some,
well, a lot of guest shots on things, Love Boat and Fantasy Island.
Love Boat.
Yeah, it was so much fun, yes.
So you did one of the season openers of Love Boat.
Yeah, well, it was quite impressive. They had a set that was the Love Boat, was a pool, and it was just, you'd walk on the sound stage. It was pretty magnificent. But for the season opener, they would do a 2-hour cruise. And that's the one you wanted.
You're really on a ship.
Yeah, well, it was 2 hours. It was a bigger paycheck.
Two
but it was,
hour tour.
Yeah.
It didn't go well.
A storm hit, yes, a storm hit, and it was really serious. Lauren Green was my father in the show. I was marrying Mark Harmon, I know. Oh, he was so sweet. And Donnie Most was there, and just all these wonderful people. There was a huge
Monday,
cast.
Happy Days.
Yeah. And so, a storm hit.
The captain forgot to put out the stabilizers.
Supposedly. Yeah, what are stabilizers?
They keep the ship from
flipping
doing
over.
what it did. Yeah,
so water came in and flooded the, front part of the ship. And supposedly...
And you're up near where?
I don't remember.
Alaska?
Well, we did one. I did a couple of them. This may have been the one in Alaska. But...
You just go jumping off into the water
up there near Alaska.
It was pretty intense.
But, it was like... When you're that age and you're fine, everybody's sort of like, oh, and we heard they had issued something like 306 shots, nausea, And I remember people walking and holding onto the rails, and it was just, but I was fine, and my friends were fine, and we were, oh, well, it's all going to be fine.
Next.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, Love Boat and Fantasy Island and Policewoman.
Now, do you remember the role you played on Fantasy Island?
Fantasy Island, I did many.
And Ricardo Montalban.
Oh, he was amazing.
He worked it out for
He
you, right?
was that guy. I would go into makeup and he would be in the chair. He was just classy and elegant, and I just loved him. He was just wonderful. And Hervé Villechaize he was sweet as could be. And
so many actors and actresses walked through Love
Yes.
Boat and Fantasy Island.
everybody wanted to do it. It
Yeah.
was the thing, it was the trend. And, you would meet people and you would marry people or you would divorce people, whatever it was, or you would dance. And
I
it was
can't write a
amazing.
song unless my heart is broken. Let's break his heart. Here we go. Get that heart broken. How did you get the call for Knots Landing? Because that was a hit show when you got the call.
Yes,
that was
they
already
were
in progress.
third season. They had spun off of Dallas. It was Ewing Money, and Gary Ewing, and Valine, and Karen, and Abby, Donna Mills.
You remember, I think it was Donna Mills when you had your first scene with her on
Thank
camera,
you.
what she
I
said.
knew you were going to bring that up. I wasn't going to bring that up. You're so bad.
I think you
so
have to
I got
tell
the
that
call
story.
that I was going to go in for an audition, and I met with the producers, and they were great. And I had this album coming out, and they wanted a focus for all the characters, and they wanted the music. I don't know how it all evolved, but it did. So they brought me in, and I met with them, and I was going to come on and play Ciji Dunne, and sing songs and entertain, and then I was going to be murdered. And then I was going to go on the road. That was what I was thinking. Oh, it's fine. I'll go on the road. So, yeah, so the first song that I did some off my album and some cover tunes. So the first one was Open Arms.
A journey.
Yeah. And when you film, you do a wide shot and then you do coverage, and we'd done a wide shot. And the coverage was now on Donna Mills, who was Abby, who was, And so I'm the new kid on the block. It was like my first or second day on the set, and I'm sitting in a chair like this, and she walks up with those hands in the pockets, and she goes, "Hi, I'm Abby. Nice upper
Rack.
chassis."
Nice rack.
Yeah, but she said, nice
Yeah.
team. And I went, oh my God, what have I gotten into? I'm gonna die right here on the show. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. But she was lovely. But from then on, it was great. And then they murdered me, and I went on to do other things. And soon after, I washed up on the beach. Oh, it was so cold.
So you have to lay there in this icy cold water and not move at all.
Well, it's kind of washing, you can't control the ocean, and they kept moving me, and we're like, oh my God, we'd get a spot and they'd light and they'd do and everything, and then the waves would come in. I'm like, God, we got to move her up. And so I'm moving, and I'm like, I mean, it's really hardcore, like chills, freezing.
Don't move.
Yeah.
Don't move.
Yeah, right. And so it wasn't just a shot of Ciji dead on the beach. It was kind of a, moving whatever, one of those. And I was freezing. He'd say, okay, roll camera, action. And I try, so I'd start freezing. And then they'd get to me and he'd like, cut, okay, let's try it again. Reset. Oh God, they're gonna reset. No, it takes so long, right? So he said, all right, let's just roll camera and we'll just use whenever, just be still. Whenever you can be still. I went, okay. And that's what they cut out and used. So anyway, so that was the end. And I went off to do my thing, and I get a call from my manager and goes, they want you to come back on the show. And that's very funny. And he said, no, I'm serious. They really want you to come back on the show. And I said, okay.
They could tell you weren't dead in the water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Very good. So we met with them, and the storyline was fun. It sounded great. And I said to my manager, I said, it's either going to work and be really good, or I'm going to be laughed at. Let's do it. Let's do it. And so they came up with a great way to introduce this new character who was Cathy Geary, initial CG. And then I did a couple more seasons, and it was just great.
It's cut to some years later, and we meet,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, 31 years ago, we met briefly backstage at my first big show back home. You and your mom, Johnny Hartman, infamous in her own right, as a TV producer in Houston. She produced the news there, and so you were both back in Houston.
Right. I had done a movie for television, and I was doing press, and we ended up back there and decided to come see your show.
So it's New Year's Eve, eve of 1991. I'm meeting 100 people backstage. I'm delirious with some kind of early COVID, I think. And they had given me some kind of a steroid just to keep me going.
Right.
So now I'm just a zombie backstage and with all these people that I'm going to meet. And someone had told me before I came into the crowd that you were there. And I had never heard of you, seen your show. I didn't get TV on the bus, and that's where I lived for most of the time. And so I'm just meeting you as a person I'm now being introduced to. And, you know, these laser beam blue eyes. And we just met so briefly. And so I knew who you were, but I still hadn't seen anything you had done. And Fred gave me your phone number. I'm going to L.A. to do The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, I think it was then. And I had one night off, and I called you and asked you out to dinner. And we went to Gladstone's, where 11 years later we would celebrate our daughter Lily's first birthday, right? So that became kind of a spot for us. But we went to dinner. I was exhausted. I was very riveting with all the yawning.
Yep. And you didn't really want to laugh because you were trying to save your voice. You'd been sick.
And I heard laughing was traumatic to the vocal cords. You got to stop laughing and coughing and clearing your throat and talking. And
especially because you'd had a little cold or something, right? So you were being super disciplined. And we're on a first date, and we were talking and making jokes, and that's how you would laugh. And I'm looking, and I'm going, okay, he'll make some noise.
you know where I got that? Harpo Marx.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we have this wonderful date,
We
and
did.
we really hit it off.
Yep.
And then 10 months later, we're married.
And you started stalking me.
Yeah. So we had several more dates, but now you're shooting a movie in Toronto. I finished a show in Detroit. I had the bus drive me across the border and drop me off in Toronto.
It was with Robert Stack.
You were doing with Robert Stack, and so I was going to come hang out for my 3 days off, and that's when we really, really knew we were in love, right? And so then I flew back to meet the bus and keep going with my shows, and you wrapped your movie and met up with me out on the road.
Right.
And one of the next stops was in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I proposed. And And so we got married shortly after that. So we were married 10 months and 20 days after we met. So we knew right away.
Yeah.
Well, I think I have one more question. When you get to heaven, if you could sing a song with anyone who's already there, who would it be and what song would you sing?
It'd be my dad.
You do something from South Pacific, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad, bass baritone, Howard, God rest his soul, amazing voice, and he did the role of Emil de Becque in South Pacific many, many times. And I would always go see him, and I would watch my dad. Oh, he was amazing. And there was this, his heart is broken in this role, and the song is "This Nearly Was Mine." And there would come a time in the song, the lyric was, now I'm alone, still dreaming of paradise. Still dreaming of paradise. Oh, just, and it would get me every single time. I was a kid, you know.
A kid with a lot of heart.
So I would do that.
A lot of heart, man.
Heart, man, yeah. That's what I would do. I would sing This Nearly Was Mine with Howard.
Yeah. Well, this must be, for my own sake, a long, 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 long time from now, so that we can be those really, really, really old people looking back on all these great years.
Love you.
I love you. Thank you for being here. Lisa Hartman Black.